it's surreal. It's like we came from nothing. We're not fashion dudes per se. Gone from literally 0 customers to over 400,000 customers. And it's been worn in the White House, worn in big blockbuster movies.
How many SKUs do you guys have?
Over 10,000 SKUs. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. But in saying that, when we first started, it was just about how do we pay the rent, and we used to calculate the rent and how many neckties we could sell.
Fameez Haroon is the co-founder of OTAA, a menswear brand that scaled to over $40 million in global sales. What began as a scrappy side hustle is now a cult favorite fashion label worn by celebrities, politicians, and even featured on hit TV shows like Better Call Saul and Saturday Night Live.
We've had Fox News anchors say we've got the world's best ties on live television, causing 30,000 people to swarm the website at the same time. So there've just been some insane highs. I think there is a reality to running a business, which in equal parts is adventure, fun, exciting, but in also equal parts dread, terrifying. There's a lot of sleepless nights.
And what's the number one piece of advice you wish someone had told you at the start?
Hear the stories, learn the proven methods, and accelerate your growth and future through entrepreneurship. Welcome to the Foundr Podcast with Nathan Chan.
So the first question that I wanted to ask you is, you've scaled OTAA to, from $2,000 from your parents' basement in your bedroom with your brother, from $2,000 to $40 million in sales, just selling ties. Celebrities, you were telling me offline, all sorts of celebrities are wearing your ties. All sorts of, politicians are wearing your ties. Generate over $40 million, $100,000 a day at peak. Like, talk me through that. Like, how did you get into this?
I like to say that we got, the story was we were walking on the beach one day. We got inspired by some ocean blue, like sea or something like that. But the truth is, we're just flat broke. We needed to do whatever we could to pay the rent. And this is going back, say, 14 years ago. The situation for ourselves was actually incredibly difficult. My parents had migrated from Fiji Islands to Melbourne, and we just do whatever we could as a family to pretty much just survive. And so, OTAA was born out of nothing. That's been bootstrapped from the get-go. So the origin story is like, myself and Shane got invited to a wedding, and basically we had worked out that instead of buying a brand new suit every single time you get invited to a wedding, it's actually cheaper if you just buy a brand new necktie, because it makes it look like a brand new outfit. So we walked into the department store together, and back then there was such limited choices in, say, ties, and they were so expensive. Like, it'd be like $150 for like a big grandpa tie, or like $98 for a shoestring tie. And it'd be placed next to like a bin that kind of smelled kind of funny. We're like, okay, we'll go with the shoestring tie. And so the department store person would come over, and there was just this level of pretentiousness, and like that was kind of seeped into the fashion industry. And the guy said to us, he's like, oh, you want that one? And we're like, yeah, we'll grab that one. And we walked out with that experience, and we both looked at each other. It was almost like a Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm moment. It was like, was this real? Did that just happen? And then me and Shane looked at each other. Shane's my co-founder and brother. We're like, we can do better than this, like, surely. And so that's kind of where OTAA, like the first spark of OTAA was kind of born. Like, okay, like we don't know anything about the fashion industry. We don't come from fashion. We've never started a business. And so it was almost like, we should be thanking that guy who gave us like the cold shoulder. But that was kind of where it started, like just in terms of getting it going.
Yeah. And this isn't your first business. You guys, you and your brother tried other business ideas as well.
Man.
Like,
yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think again, to get ourselves out of like the situation, we tried anything and everything. Like we tried to source kitchenware, and we bought that in, and it was like 30 units, and it cost like, say, $300. And we tried to sell them on eBay, and we'd send them out, and then it would break. And like, we tried anything and everything to just get ourselves out of the rut that we're in.
Can you tell me more about that rut and that situation? So like, where were you at? Like,
yeah, so I was working personally 13-hour night shifts, trying to just do what we can as a family to kind of just like pay the rent. We would pay the rent in cash. Like I remember getting those red letters in the mail, and we'd drive to the real estate agent to go pay it. So it was just tough. And then Shaheen, my brother and co-founder, he was working at an architecture firm, and we wanted to just do and try anything we could to pretty much get ourselves out of that situation. So yeah, we were just used to failing. Like it was like failing was just like a regular thing, because we never knew what success was. I remember we bought a book, How to Start a Business for like Dummies. Like that's how that's the nature of like our skill set in the industry. So we knew nothing, but we just said, okay, well, we have to learn. We're not going to be stuck here forever. There's going to be more to life than just this. So we opened the book, we started reading. We're like, okay, you got to register a company. You got to. This is how you start a website. This is how you do the thing. Just brick by brick, we learned. And then we, like I said, with the nicer dices that failed. Then we started selling, iPhone covers, and then just everything. But we learned skills within that, how to source, how to actually put things online, and this is going back 14 years ago. When we walked out of the department store, and we're like, okay, we can build something here that's better than this experience. And it was a lot more clear. It's like, because the fashion industry was extremely serious. It's like, okay, we can make a brand that doesn't take itself so seriously. The fashion industry generally like low quality. Like, okay, we can make something that's high quality. The fashion industry had very bad customer service. Like it's like, okay, hey, what does it look like if we have great customer service and we actually like our customers and we don't hate them? So we use that as a formula, and we ran with that. And 14 years later, it's gone from literally 0 customers to over 400,000 customers. Like we've had politicians been worn in the White House, we've been worn in big blockbuster movies. The Boys, Better Call Saul, Nick Cannon, Channel 7 News, Channel 9 News. Like it's been surreal to see it everywhere, but it just started from like nothing.
Yeah, and talk me through, like, how much did it cost to do the first run of ties? How did you find your manufacturer? Like let's go to like real brass tacks.
Yep. So to take you back then, again, how to start a business for dummies. We didn't know anything about the fashion industry whatsoever. I think that naivety was probably a good thing. My brother, Shaheen, I think is the world's best, pretty much product developer and sourcer. He literally, we said, okay, if we're going to do this seriously, we're going to act like got to put our big boy pants on and act like, what is it going to take for us to enter this industry? So we looked at our bank accounts and we're like, okay, we've got about $400 in our bank account each. We can put together our money and we can buy a plane ticket to go to China. And so my brother, this is going back 14 years ago, literally totally naive to the situation, never been in China, couldn't even get a visa, booked a ticket, one-way ticket there, and he just figured it out. This is like, we did it the hard way, going back 14 years, and he ended up, once he landed, he just got to pretty much talking. He did a bit of Googling, kept the book with him. He just went through the first factory, and we had partnered with them, but the first batch was really, really good. Like we managed to get the initial order through of say 30, it was actually bow ties, and we had put them online. And I remember the first day when we actually put the initial batch of bow ties online, we had launched it, and there was, we're waiting with bated breath, like, oh, this is gonna be exciting. We're gonna sell all this stock. 0 traffic, 0 orders, day 1.
Shopify?
Shopify, yeah. And then day 2, same thing. It's like, oh, okay, we've put all our money in. How are we gonna get rid of this stock?
And how much did you put in?
So the initial order was, from memory, is going back quite a bit. I think maybe like $1,000 or $2,000. It was along those lines. That was everything to us. Yeah. So we had to sell it.
Yeah.
And so we did what we could just to bring traffic through. So we at the time we partook in like forums, like Reddit forums, and anything to just bring traffic to OTAA.com. if someone told me, if I could speak to myself 14 years ago, I'd be like, you idiot, just run Facebook ads. You know how cheap it is. Like, but we didn't know. Like, this is the thing. We just did not know. Like, we could have, like, oh man, it's almost frustrating. So what you don't know costs you a lot of money. So we just did not know. So we're doing things the hard way. Like, I'm sure it was an easier way than, you know, jumping in a plane and going to the suppliers. I'm sure it was an easier way to take the photos and put it online. I'm sure there was an easier way, but this is the thing. We never entered the industry. We did not know. And it's starting any business is just a series of learning, and you're just learning things over and over again and reinforcing that.
Yeah. So talk me through. So you had, you put in everything you had to start this thing. You launched a Shopify store, couple days in, still no sales.
Yep.
Like how did you know? Like what happened next?
Yeah. So the first big one was, so we worked out we needed to drive traffic, and we weren't using Facebook ads at the time. We just didn't know. So the first thing we did was anything. So friends, families, fools, fanatics, we're just contacting anything and everyone. The first order we actually got was by partaking in like forums, like Reddit forums and stuff. So when we got the first order through like a post that we did on Reddit, that was like, oh wow, this is success. We got something here. This is awesome. To get rid of to sell the other stock, we started doing a string of like PR outreach. So we try to get everything that we could. And so we got a write-up on the Huffington Post calling us the cheeky clothiers. And that kind of just like, when that article came out, that kind of just like got us initial traction and just sold out like the first batch of, like, you know, it was like $2,000 revenue for that period. Like I think it was like a few days. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is good. We sold out the initial batch. So yeah, it was just anything and everything, man. There was no like, it was anything to drive any sort of traffic. And without the Facebook ads at the time. The long-term strategy we ended up working out was more like doing YouTube tutorials on how to tie. So we worked out there was a big arbitrage in like these like series on how you can actually tie that would get like millions of views. So we'd produce our own series, and at the end is like go to OTAA.com. And so that those things allowed us to build it a bit more long-term in terms of actually getting traffic.
Yeah. And so that's interesting. So when it comes to tying a tie, you guys would just do these YouTube tutorials. How did you work out how to rank? Like, how did you get millions of views? Like, talk me through that, because that's not easy, right? There must be heaps of videos out there.
Yeah, I think so. We'd bought this encyclopedia of like how to tie ties, and there's like 50 different ways to tie a tie. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, okay, we can do a YouTube version of every single one of these, and at the end of it, have a call tag, go to OTAA.com. So yeah, we got like a film crew. We got like a model, and even the model was like, dude, I'd never tied any of these ties before. This is insane. And so to his credit, he tied every single one on camera. And yeah, we end up putting them online, and it ended up getting like at the start, like it was like a trickle, 1,000 views, 2,000 views, but now they've gotten millions and millions of views between all of them. And so that was just one of the things that we did to bring traffic into OTAA.com. So I think the lesson as well is like, there's no one way to build a business. I think there's a lot of ways you can do it. We went, you know, as I said, going back 14 years ago, if I could say to myself and Shaheen, my co-founder, just use Facebook ads, it's so much easier. But we didn't know. So we did it a different way. And we just built traction one thing at a time, one step at a time. And so, yeah, it's just been a series of learning.
Hey Foundr fam, I want to take a quick break from the conversation to talk to you about something super exciting. We're officially partnered with Omnisend, the email marketing and SMS platform built specifically for e-commerce founders. We've been recommending Omnisend to Foundr students for a while now because it just works. Whether you're launching your first store or you're scaling to 7 figures, it really helps you automate your marketing and get real results. Did you know on average, Omnisend customers make $68 for every $1 they spend, which is an insanely good return on investment. And because you're part of the Foundr community, you get 50% off your first 3 months with the code FOUNDR50. Just head to omnisend.com/founder without the E to get started. All right, now let's jump back into the show. Yeah, and when it comes to kind of the Facebook ads piece, there's also the dark side of that coin as well, right? Where you're too reliant, and if it's not working, it can really fall in your face as well.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like you guys, you've had a content-led approach, which is probably a bit more foundational in many ways,
Yep.
right? Because you're only good as your last ad with Facebook ads in many ways too, right? You're only good as your last creative, and creative dies out. It's a machine where it sounds like you guys have built some really solid foundational content pillars and areas where you consistently drive traffic. Like those YouTube videos, if they're still getting views, they will still be driving sales every day, right?
Yeah, I think so. The whole strategy really shifted when we wanted to like build a brand. And what does brand even mean? I think like when I think about it, the fashion industry as a whole, it really did take itself extremely seriously. And so when we came along and we wanted to invest these kind of high production, funny parody commercials, like we invested in a commercial that we shot in Hollywood that cost the brand like $50,000. People said we were insane for doing it. They're like, you can get, you know how much UGC you can get, which is user generated content, for that price. And we always said, like, it is impossible, like, because it is impossible to tell the quality of the product online. You need to communicate the benefits of the product through positioning the content in a way. And so we tripled down on just producing premium branded content that's funny as well and humorous. And so the big commercial that we did had like an alien in it, who's like he's dropping his iron and saying these ironings is like an ancient technology. Usher's a non-iron, and so we wanted to position it in a bigger way. And I think that's allowed us to pretty much get our brand and position it in a more luxurious and premium manner, I think.
Yeah. So, what's the most that you've spent on a campaign?
Yeah, I think we did an adventure, like Indiana Jones-esque.
Yeah,
ad.
I saw that one. Yeah.
So
That's
one
cool.
was a big set, and again, people said like we got advice from mentors, like saying like we almost ask permission first, like is this a good idea, from people who've done hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. Every single one of them said, don't do it. You're an idiot for doing this. You please do not do this. Invest into again UGC for thing. But my working theory is like I would rather invest into content that makes people laugh. And I think you almost have to, like, I think Mr. Beast said it. He's like, if you're driving down the road and you just see regular cows, you're just gonna keep driving. But if you see a pink cow, then you're gonna stop and think, like, did I just see a pink cow? I think we tried our approach by standing out with the funny sort of humorous content. And so I help co-write all the scripts, and we just parody like those sort of big sort of those funny tropes, like whether it's like the adventure thing, whether it's like the James Bond thing, and we just do what we can to make it funny.
Yeah. So how much was that? How much?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So that one was about 30,000 USD, which obviously in Aussie dollars was the dollar tanking now for like double. Yeah. And like the sets are expensive and the actors are expensive, but again, we just want to position it that way. But what's happened with that is every single time we get inbound, because we get lots of wholesalers contacting us, it's just positioned the brand in a more elevated way. It's allowed us to communicate the benefits of like sustainably made sort of ties made from recycled plastics, or our luxurious shirts. That's the working theory anyway. Because you upload that YouTube video into the Facebook, the rise is like nothing. It's like less than 1. So again, like I can understand why the mentors say it, and they're probably right. Like they're probably just trying to like protect us from saving money, but we're very hell bent on building something last past us.
You talk about brand. I think it's an interesting concept around everything when it comes to building an e-commerce brand, right? Like doubling down on it, because more than ever, it's easier than ever to start an e-commerce company and brand, right? But with the introduction of AI, it makes things easier than ever to start. And it's all about those relationships that your customers have with your brand, OTAA. You've still been able, even if you haven't been investing in brand along the way, only it's a big push now. Like you've had like all sorts of politicians, celebrities, you know, as you said, a lot of movies now, you know, purchase OTAA product. Why is that? Why like there's plenty of places to buy ties. Like why are people choosing you guys?
Good question, man. There's a bit of a maverickness that comes to people who wear OTAA. Again, I think those people align with just being a bit more, I guess, rebellious. But in terms of the content piece, yeah, I think the cost of content's going down to zero, especially with AI. And I think what we're going to see now is just like mass-produced content. You can choose to do anything. So I think what happens here is like taste is going to be the defining skill, and how you are able to curate the taste for your brand and get it out there. Because it's an interesting time that we're living in where you can literally prompt it and get any image that you want, and put that in a Facebook ad. That like we did one recently, and it was just a test where we used like an AI model, and we've been experimenting with this quite a bit. Like the guy wearing like an OTAA shirt, and it just looks photo real. And that in the past, we'd have to get like a studio, you'd have to get the model, and it costs like easily upwards of like $5,000 or $10,000. But now it's all within the like a prompting engine. You see like H&M, they're talking about using AI models in all their shoots as well. So yeah, we're living in a really transitionary time, but I think you have to use the latest tools to help like pretty much stay ahead. I think it's interesting because the fashion industry is like, it's almost very slow moving, generally speaking. But you have to, with e-commerce, you always have to stay on top of the latest trends and hacks to almost just stay ahead.
Yeah, I agree. So what's working now for you guys? Like, how are you growing the brand?
Yep. So the biggest thing that's working for us, actually, I'll reframe it. Like I remember listening to Mr. Beast again. It was actually a really good interview that kind of resonated. I think I got two things from him, but the thing that he said was like, if you're doing something, if you just get a mentor and ask them how they did what they did and whatever terrain that they're doing it in, like you can just get essentially the cheat codes and implement it within your own business. So like I remember listening to that and thinking, okay, that kind of makes sense. Like someone who's done it before, it might not apply exactly the same, but like in theory that makes sense. So then I remember hearing about David Fogarty, who started this crazy e-commerce business that's done hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, and it was based in Australia. I used to think you couldn't even do that out of Australia. Like, how's that even possible? So I remember speaking again, Shane a call, and I was like, man, we got to speak to this guy, like, and ask him how he even did it. So I drafted an email up to him, and I remember asking him an email. I'm like, I'll like, I know your time's busy, but if we can just have an hour meeting with you, we'll pay like $10,000. Like we didn't get any response initially, and then we end up connecting again through like there's some online booking link they had when you wanted to start teaching certain things. So we got on the meeting with him, and I remember the thing that he said to me when we finally got on the phone call with him. I was really, really excited. Also nervous as well. I'm like, we paid a lot of money just to try and get him on the call. And I was saying, yeah, we're doing a bit of TikTok, we're doing Snapchat, we're doing Pinterest, and we're doing all these kind of things. And he looked at me and he's like, so what's your Facebook look like? I'm like, oh, we're doing a little bit of that. He's like, scrap everything. You guys just focus on Facebook. I'm like, really? Facebook? He's like, it is the most efficient marketing machine in the history of humankind, his exact words. And it just stuck in my brain. I'm like, oh. And so that phone call, we ended up switching off all the other platforms because they weren't returning. He looked at it straight away. So we got our money back from that one lesson. And yeah, so now we're really investing in building Facebook out and really growing that as a direct to consumer thing, because we've done the Google the SEO stuff, and over 14 years built a brand that's had a lot of word of mouth. That's the biggest thing for us. We get about 20% of sales from just referrals and word of mouth. Like our reviews are like extremely strong because we focus on like great product. But yeah, that one key lesson, man, it's like just focus and don't get distracted. I think that could resonate with anyone.
Yeah. So are you able to share like how much you're spending on ads right now?
Yeah. So we spend upwards in pretty much like the hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. It depends on the month that we're in, or the season, because it's a neckties and shirts is pretty seasonal depending on like the country that we're trying to go for. But yeah, like a lot of it, again, to communicate this, like it's hard. Like a lot of times you put an ad up, and it's is 0.5 return on ad spend. Like it's just a series of just getting hit in the face over and over again. I think e-commerce is glamorized. Like even me sharing air quotes my success story, man, it's hard. Like it's getting like, it's like getting punched in the face over and over again and waking up with a smile. Like it's not easy, dude. And I think everyone who runs a business can understand that. I think we glamorize e-com quite a bit, and any business for that matter. But yeah, there's a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of working out how to navigate the ads, and then once you start building a team, we want to make sure you can take care of them. And when we first started, it was just about how do we pay the rent, and we used to calculate the rent and how many neckties we could sell. And then as when you're going year 5, it's like, okay, well, how do you build a team, and then how do you build a brand? It's not like we had this big crazy a thing of from the start, we're going to take on the world. The goals were simple at the start, and it kind of just evolved.
Was it worth it? Has it been worth it for you?
100% it's been worth it. I think there's obviously a naivety when you start a business, you don't know what you're getting into. And it's allowed us, time freedom, location freedom. But then when I say time freedom, is it really freedom? I mean, you're always on else at all times. Yeah, I think there's a glamorous aspect to people who found businesses that get painted. But yeah, I think it's good to talk about the reality as well. It isn't all sunshine and rainbows. I think a lot of shit that we do, we load it up. And like I said, we lose. Like even when we did the big Alien Hollywood commercial, when we're launching into luxury non-iron shirts, people said, no, don't do that. And for us to go against them, it's like, okay. And then, and we're hoping it was going to perform well as a Facebook ad. It didn't, but it worked well as a YouTube ad and a brand piece. And it's learning. It's always a constant cycle of learning, man. But yeah, it's I think there is a reality to running a business, which in equal parts is adventure, fun, exciting, but in also equal parts dread, terrifying. And I think a part of business is just stepping up to the plate and learning, and having that ability to learn from people like yourself, people who I could speak to. Like I remember telling people that I was just doing whatever I could to contact people who've gone ahead of me in the e-commerce game, because I do treat business and life in general just like there's a game aspect. Like if we've been doing it for 14 years, and say someone like another mentor of ours was Casey Holiday, who's started an amazing ring brand, sort of Qualo. He's done like hundreds of millions of dollars. If they've done it before, and you can get in contact with them and learn from them and shortcut your pitfalls, I think there's a lot of value to that.
So you talked about the highs and also the lows. What can you take me back to a time where you ever felt like giving up? You and your brother, where it was just like, ooh, we're flying really close to the sun, too close.
Yeah, all the time. I think that's part of it. But so I think when we initially started, I think the initial traction is the hardest part for any business starting. Just when we first sold the first batch of stock, it's like, it's exciting. Well, we did it. It's like, but then the next step is like, okay, do we put all that money back into buying more stock and then starting over and over again? I think the most difficult time as well for OTAA.com would have been COVID for us. And this is for every business. So it's not like some sub story, because I almost feel bad even saying it, because every business struggled that I spoke to. I've got friends who run cafes. I've got friends who run, like gift stores. Like it was like for us, the difficult part was, like there was no weddings, there was no events, there's no there's no one wanted to wear shirts and ties during that time. People were wearing pajamas, working from home and Zoom calls. So at that point, it's like, okay, this is happening to us. What can we do to control this? Like, it's like, okay, we can use this as a lesson to shrink down costs. What are the variables that we can control? Because it's all about, like, it's all well and good to say what you can't do, but there's things that you can control. And so we try to shrink down costs. We try to keep our staff. We did what we could to sell and get us through. But on the flip side, when COVID had ended and weddings came back, there was a massive push. Then all of a sudden, everyone's getting married. There's weddings on Monday to Friday, and like I got invited to a wedding on a Wednesday. So there's a flip side to that darkness as well, and just holding on. So it's me and my brother Shaheen. Like every day we speak to each other, and we're equally optimistic some days, and some days it's just like, oh man, this is tough. Like we pull this work into a big product launch and it didn't work. It's I think it's common. Yeah.
What about your highest moment where you just like,
oh yeah, this is fun. So many. Yeah, this is why we always stay in the e-commerce game, man. It's like going to the casino. It's so many high moments, dude. When I see orders and come from like big TV shows that are going to wear OTAA, like Better Call Saul, The Boys, OTAA being tagged on Instagram, like we've had like Nick Cannon tag it. We've sent parcels to the White House. We've had Robert F. Kennedy wearing OTAA ties. We've had OTAA ties being parodied on Saturday Night Live. So my brother and Shane have designed like these animal ties that have like turtles on them, and RFK wears them. And then Alec Baldwin decided to parody those ties, and they're parodying the OTAA design ties. So that, I mean, it's surreal. It's like we came from nothing. We're not, we're not fashion dudes per se. So when you see it parodied on a national live stage, that's cool. We've had Fox News anchors say we've got the world's best ties on live television, causing 30,000 people to swarm the website at the same time. So there've just been some insane highs, and that's why we're in it. And honestly, the biggest high as well is, I know that those are like the vanity ones, but I don't know, just taking care of the team. Like when you hire people, you want to like when you're fortunate enough to just like have staff and they invite you to the wedding and just take care of people like locally and internationally, like who depend on OTAA as well. Those are, again, I think there's a lot of highs there as well. It isn't just about those big sort of vanity things. Those are cool. But yeah, I think I think just taking care of those things and being able to provide for that as well has been really, really cool as well. But there's been some some amazing highs for OTAA as well.
Yeah, I saw your face light up. It can be somewhat addictive, right? Chasing that big dopamine hit.
Bro. Yeah.
Like,
it's
like it is crazy, because I'm thinking of my own journey as well.
Me and Shane, we love playing poker, and I think a lot of business is there's a lot of gambling attributes that come to running a business, and anyone tells you otherwise is lying to you. Like, for example, if you put, like me and Shane refer to like things as bets. It's like, okay, well, that commercial is like a $30,000 bet. That's a $10,000 bet. Employees, they're bets. Like, you're hoping that if you hire somebody and they're going to bring you value for the company, you're betting on them to hopefully work out. And sometimes most bets go to zero, but when you do place a bet, and you put it on the roulette table, for example, if with e-commerce, there can be outsized returns. Like, and so we have $10,000 bet on a piece of content can go to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's why we keep playing the game of e-com. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that correlate between poker and business. The hand that you're dealt, like, the hand that we're dealt is, we started from nothing. Like there's no money in our accounts. That was the hand that we're dealt. We didn't come from money. But at the same time, I'm grateful for that, because we had to work out the skills, how to start a business for dummies, read that book, go to China, work out how to market, how to build a brand. And then the flop comes out, and it's like, okay, well, that card pairs with that card. Okay, I got a winning hand and a losing hand. Do I throw this away? Do I fold and give up on the business, or keep going? And the beautiful thing about business is, you like, as long as you're willing to tolerate pain, and I think it's equal parts pain and reward. If your ability to tolerate pain and be able to last as long as you can allows you to keep saving up on the plate and getting those outsized returns. I think Jeff Bezos said that. It's like, you're able to step up onto the plate and hit the baseball as many times as you can. But then if you, like with business, you can get outsized returns by hitting home runs over and over again and getting those outsized returns, if that makes sense.
The success of your business, a big determining factor is how much pain you're willing to go through.
100%.
Like, yeah. and your tolerance, your pain tolerance and that threshold.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah, 100%, man. I think you have to, I think you could do it with a smile and you have be optimistic, but your ability to tolerate pain, because you're trying to grow. And I think if you're, whether you're lifting weights or you're building a business, your ability to tolerate pain allows you to grow. And there's so many things that we don't know. And, the pain of not knowing. I go back to 14 years ago. If I could just whisper one message, just Facebook ads. Come on, man. They're cheap back then, but it's just not knowing is a thing that that can cost. And yeah, I believe the ability to tolerate pain is a requisite for growth as well.
You talked about outsize returns, referring to business as poker. What's been your biggest outsize return thus far in the OTAA journey?
Yep. I think that my bet on investing into big branded commercials and the brand in general, and also great quality products. Like if you Google reviews, they're all it's 4.8, 4.9, 15,000 5-star reviews.
Yeah, that's a lot.
The outsized returns comes from doing things consistently over a long time horizon that compound into of itself, that give you compound returns. We've been doing it for 14 years. When we tell people we start as neckties, they almost kind of laugh. It's just neckties. And then when we say we've been doing it for 14 years and it's grown. I think the biggest outside return comes from building the brand and great customer product over long term. I think that's the equation, because e-commerce I think is pretty simple. You've got product, you got price, you've got your website, which is your funnel, and and then how you do those things and execute on each of those levels in equal measure dictate your success.
So when it comes to, I guess, retail, you
Yep.
talked a lot about online. Talk to me about retail. What's been your play there from a branding perspective?
Yep. From a retail perspective, we've been fortunate that because we've built up OTAA.com, we've had a lot of good inbound. And again, this is the bet on. So generally, if you speak to an e-com person, they always tell you almost like they treat it like crypto. It's like you get 1,000 pieces of UGC and you can bet on this and it'll grow. Our inverse was like, okay, build a cool brand, invest into product and quality, and then they'll come to you. It's a very inverse approach, but you're also hoping that they do come to you in the long term. And so we've been stocked in, and we've had contacts from, say, the big hotel chains, who now stock OTA, but yeah, in terms of the retail position, we did the trade shows as well, going back just before COVID, and yeah, it's a big financial outlay as well to do those trade shows. I don't know if you've ever done one before, but man, they're tough. Like I was on the ground there, and you set up a booth, and you're kind of hoping that people kind of come towards you. I remember standing there for like 12 hours, like a day with my wife who was helping me, and my friend Nick, and he was working with OTA at the time before COVID, and you're just waiting for people to come to you. And like I remember one trade show we did in Denmark, and we set up, and it cost like $20,000, and we had 0 people walk through, and we all got like, I remember we all used to meet up at the coffee shop after, and everyone was just depressed. We're just like, oh. And then I'm the business owner. I'm being Mr. Optimistic. I'm like, yeah, look, it's all learning. We can figure it out when we get back, and and like, don't worry, like we can figure this out. But yeah, and this back to my point, business is hard. Like that's another bet we just lost. Like we're so used to just losing in those things. But the retail aspect, again, I'm like, okay, we're thinking about this. What's the best digital approach? Because my skill set tends to go to digital first. It's like, okay, I love storytelling. I love building fun parody content. I love writing scripts. Okay, let's just invest into the brand, and maybe they'll come to us. It's not like, so we started tripling down on that, because it's not like if we started contacting these people in the White House or politicians or these big TV shows, Hollywood shows, to wear OTA, they're not answering our emails. They don't care about us. But if you build a brand that's cool enough, they'll come to you. So that's been the working theory, and that bet has definitely paid off. But yeah, on the flip side, we've lost a lot doing those trade shows. But you have to learn. This is what I mean. You just got to keep going and learning, and this is the non-glamorous side of running a business. Like when that day when we did the Denmark trade show, at the end of it, just like, it felt like game over again. It's like, this is never, like, where's the win? Like, because you hear about all these guys getting thousands of retailers, and like, this would be easy. This is cool. But no, it's sometimes you do something, it doesn't work, and then you just have to step up to the plate again.
You talked about kind of returns, losses, bets. What can founders do from your experience, been, building business for a while now? What can they do to really make sure that they're getting more wins, like they're making less mistakes? Like, because it's really about the decisions that you make, like, and how do you increase your likelihood of making the right decision? What have you learned? What are you doing there?
I think we live in the best time ever to start a business. And I think this is going to sound simple or trite, but you could just YouTube shit. You could just Google things. You can ask ChatGPT. Like, if you've got determination and willingness, you can just work it out. I would say I wouldn't follow what I did, because I think also like if I'm mentoring somebody, hey, Fameez, I want to do a big commercial like you guys, and I'm betting the house on it and remortgaging. I'm like, don't do that. I'll be telling them what the mentors told me. Like, you're an idiot. Like, don't do that. It's not a good idea. Because everyone's success is individual. You can't copy anyone's blueprint. Like, it's everyone's individual, and anyone who tells you otherwise is just lying to you. Like, there's no one formula to do it. I think start small, bet small. Like, if you can with e-commerce, it's a beautiful business where you can. It's the easiest business to start. It's also the hardest business to get real customers to part with their hard-earned cash to give you money. I think people take it for granted. Like, there's big numbers, 1 million, 10 million, 40 million, $100 million. These are real people. Like, It's not just numbers. It's real people. So the advice I would give is, bet small, figure out, don't bet the farm, have conviction, think long-term, take care of the customers. As I said, when we founded the brand, it is built on the premise that, the fashion industry generally just hates people. Like, if you walked into a store and there's this level of pretentiousness that's there, we had an answer to that. And it was, it's a nebulous thought. Was, how do you answer that digitally? How can you take care of customers digitally properly? But that was the idea behind that. So just simple ideas, execute well, and think long term. Like, we've been doing it for 14 years. 14 years, it's a long time, man. Like, I've seen businesses, come and go, like, after 1 year, 5 years, and or 3 months, and they've done crazier revenue numbers than we do in a month. But we're here for, I'll exit the business when I'm dead. Like, I'll be doing this for the next 30, 40, 50 years. I think that's the long-term view that we've got.
Hey guys, I really hope you're feeling inspired from today's interview. Now, the truth is, all successful e-commerce founders started from zero, with a spark of an idea and a whole lot of determination. But let's be real, building or growing an e-commerce business is no walk in the park. And that's where Foundr Plus comes in, which I'm really excited to share with you. It's a culmination of a decade worth of work at Foundr. So if you're feeling stuck in your e-commerce business, you're lacking confidence to move forward, or you're worried about making costly mistakes or not knowing how to grow your business, Foundr Plus is here to support you on your journey. You get access to a customized learning pathway with proven frameworks from successful e-commerce founders for fast results, incredible programs, a supportive community, weekly live mentorship, exclusive savings on startup tools, and 24/7 real human support. Try Foundr Plus today for just $1 for 7 days so you can accelerate your business goals. Visit foundr.com/start $trial or click the link in the description to claim your trial. All right, now let's jump back in the show. You said something interesting around kind of, we live in a time where you can use ChatGPT, Google, etc., YouTube videos. However, the flip side of that was you shared, you talked about Davey Fogarty. We've interviewed him, really super successful e-com founder here in Adelaide.
A nice guy.
Yeah, great guy. You're willing to pay him $10,000. When should people know when to make those investments? Like, I've probably spent well over $1 million personally in my own personal growth. Like, at least.
Legend.
Like, coaches, mentors, you and I were talking about Shopify versus BigCommerce, the founder of BigCommerce, one of the founders of BigCommerce. He was a mentor of mine. He was a coach as well. I was paying him $5,000 a month for many years to learn. So, that's, you chalk that up, it's 180, probably close to $200,000 right there over a few years. So I've spent like well over $1 million in my own investment. So I'm curious to hear, when should people know when to invest in themselves, when to double down with a mentor or coach, or
So it's a really good question. I think it's entirely, like, first you need to be self-aware of what you're good at and what you're not, and what actual help that you need. And I think that is the secret to life as well, being able to articulate the question that you need. When I did what I could to send David Fogarty an email to meet with him for $10,000. like the business was doing the revenue to justify it. So one decision within the business would save us tens of thousands of dollars, and it did. So that scale made sense. But going into the meeting, I didn't just rock up and be like, hey man, can you come and grow my business? It didn't work that way. I was like, I prepared for that interview. I'm like 1 hour, $10,000. Okay, I'm going to prepare for this. Like I'm preparing for like a job interview. I wrote down all the things about OTAA, what I think the things are. And I'm like, being able to articulate the right question. I'm like, if you're me, how would you grow the business by 10%? It's like if you ever go to a personal trainer and you ask him, hey, how do you make me healthy? It's a very nebulous, broad term, as opposed to you say, hey, I've got a wedding in 6 weeks time. How do I lose a few kilos? It's like, okay, well, you can, go in a calorie deficit, do this. So in terms of at what point to contact people and when, I think one, be self-aware. You don't know everything. And like being humble to understand that, well, that's the other thing as well. You have to, I think, like if you do speak to someone who is ahead of you, be able to take on their advice and not be like, oh, you're wrong, you're an idiot, like blah, blah, blah. Because I know people who've done these mentor calls before and they pretty much just flip out, and they're not, its ability to be coachable is probably a skill set as well. I'm still to this day just trying to learn every single day and grow it. Yeah, I think it definitely depends on where you're at.
Yeah, I agree. Situational stage advice is very, very, very key. Like you can look at someone, we could be talking about David, you look at someone like him and, he's doing all this content now, he's building his personal brand, but when you're just starting out, that might not make sense for you, right? So it depends on what situation you're in and what stage you're in your business. So that makes sense. But there is an argument to make that if you had worked with him earlier, you could have actually made a lot more money getting onto Facebook ads.
Yep.
It just depends.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses are breaking beliefs as well, and believing what's actually possible out there. I just didn't think for the longest time you can grow like a massive e-com business in Australia. It was just so wrong. And so once you break that belief, it's like, okay, well, what are the series of steps and actions it's going to take to actually get you to grow the business by double or triple or further and further and further. I think breaking beliefs is a big part of growing any business.
I'd love to delve a little bit more deeper on that when we work towards wrapping up. Why do you believe that it wasn't possible to build a big business, online e-com business from Australia? You're selling online.
Yep.
So you're selling to the world.
Yep.
So it wasn't just like you were capped out around the Australian geography. I'd understand if you were just selling to Australia and you're capping out and going, okay, there's only 15 million people.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just curious to explore that.
Yeah, I wish I spoke to you earlier, dude. I think growing up, my family came from a background of we ran a milk bar. My parents migrated from Fiji Islands, and so we used to sell $2 Mars bars. I used to be 9 years old selling like cigarettes. This is in the 90s. So the scale of a business then, the milk bar would collect, $500 a day. And then you unconsciously adopt like a limiting belief. It's like, this is as far as I go. So when we started like an e-commerce business, although we're selling online and internationally and doing the thing, it's like, I'm like, okay, well, a good day is, a couple grand. That's awesome, so a couple grand, $600,000 business per year. That's amazing. That's as far as we go. But then you hear other founders who, go, 50 million, 100 million, 200 million, 500, beyond. It just breaks the belief system. So I think this is, and back to questioning your own sort of self-limiting beliefs. and where you unconsciously pick them up from, or consciously. Like, you don't want to pick up desires as well, I think. Because like my definition of like happiness is simple. I love building a business. I love hiring people. I love trying to take care of them. I love taking care of the customers. And we've kind of purposely kept it small in a way. We do our own fulfillment. We've had advice, people telling us you should do multiple 3PLs all around the globe and do it this way. But yeah, we've kind of purposely almost slowed the growth down to hopefully remain profitable. Like sometimes it's some months are definitely not profitable. And again, this is the reality of any e-com business or any business in general. And some months are wildly profitable as well. And this is back to the outside sort of bets. But yeah, it just comes from how we grew up, and just breaking those beliefs is critical, I think.
How did you identify them?
Identify them. Yeah, I think when you just hear stories, man, I think this is why the podcast is so interesting. And even Foundr, for example, when you just it pops up on my YouTube and you see a thumbnail, you're like, whoa, this person's done what? $80 million, $100 million? Like, what's their story? Like, and you just hear that again and again and again. You're like, okay, well, if they could do it, like, what are the series of things that they did to grow their business? I think just reinforcing the stories, it's so important. I think it's the most important thing that you could do. If you want to grow. And if you don't want to grow, that's fine. That's also just as okay as well. I think you can have a business that does the same amount of revenue, for year on end, and that's okay. That's what you want to do. I think it depends what you want to get out of life.
Comparison is a dangerous thing, right?
100%. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't compare your story to mine. Like, myself and Shane, like we've had, again, sleepless nights, anxiety. We've had, we thought during COVID the business is gone. What we're going to do after. So do not compare stories. It's just pointless. And if anyone who just harps on about all the successes and don't tell you the reality of it, they're just lying to you. Like I'm telling you, I run a business. I speak to real business owners who, who do way more money than me, but then they're also losing money, but then they're doing other things to get money. It's just, it's hard. Like, and this is the reality of it. And I can be open and transparent. Like, like I said, some months are good, some months are bad. Like, but that's okay. That's all part of business and growth.
So we have to work towards wrapping up. I'd love to just kind of talk about the SKUs and some of the manufacturing side of things. Like, how many SKUs do you guys have?
Yeah, so we've got over 10,000 SKUs.
That's insane.
Yeah. So we've managed to build definitely Australia's largest necktie sort of range. In terms of managing that, again, so I've got a degree in logistics supply chain management. I missed a course on SKU management, clearly. I missed the uni class on that. I could have probably used that one. But again, there's a strategy behind the madness. The reason behind that is because when people get married, there's a certain shade of purple they want to match to the bridesmaid dress. Guess what? We've got that color purple. If you want a certain sort of tie color, we've got it. If you want the best non-iron shirts, we've got it. And it takes range to get there. And we're here for the long term as well. But in saying that, again, the flip side of the lesson is if we were to explore, setting up another warehouse in a different country, we'd just pick the top selling SKUs like that. It's like the Perez principle: 80% of revenue comes from 20% of stock. Like we start doing analysis, it's like, shit, we're the same, and so again, we haven't done everything perfectly and clear execution, but this is why it's a series of learnings as well. But in terms of a customer perspective, it's really good because they can find what they want, and we always are able to almost guide them to the right product, and we always definitely have it.
Yeah, that's crazy. 10,000 different SKUs. And what's really interesting is that stock, like it doesn't age. You could have the one set of ties.
Yeah, me and Shane joke about that. Yeah. Like I think we're like we can be grandpas and our great grandkids can wear one of these neckties. Yeah, dude, it doesn't age. It's still good. There's no expiry date on it. Well, a funny story about that. So trends come in cycles as well. So one year green's popular, and all of a sudden we're selling out green ties. The next year blue's popular, and also blue ties, and then pink's popular for a year. And so it comes in cycles. And so the stock that's been sitting there for like a few years, all of a sudden it's roaring back into success, and because we've got it, it sells. So there's a method to the madness. It isn't all just madness. But yeah, we in terms of the growth of it, because we've learned, and I advise people don't do what we did and like don't just spray and pray and get a bunch of SKUs. The apparel business is much more methodical. It's like everything that we do is it's more well thought out. It's more expensive, the apparel business as well. You've got to factor in returns, and but like this is why spending money on quality so they can keep it, and they can keep it forever, and that's the goal behind it. Like that's the better bet, and this is why I mean the long term principles as opposed to like a quick drop shipping type business that comes and goes. I think that's kind of what we're trying to sort of bet on.
Yeah, and I think what's clever, obviously you started with the neckties, then you got into the bow ties, and then now you got into the apparel side.
Yep.
Adding that in obviously increases your average order value.
Yep.
Higher average order value, that the higher likelihood of being able to make ads work because you can spend more to acquire a customer and unlock scale.
You know it all, dude. Exactly. You just articulated better than I could. Speaking of advice from you, that's perfect.
I speak to a lot of people.
Yeah, man, you've just hit the nail on the head. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So this is an OTAA polo. So anyone who thinks, why this guy didn't wear like a necktie in the interview or a shirt in it, to this point, like this OTAA polo here with the embroidered anchor, like if you buy a shirt and a tie and a polo, it increases the average order value. It increases our ability to acquire customers. So this is where almost it becomes almost boring how simple it is. But if you break down e-commerce, it's like your ability to acquire a customer, which is customer acquisition cost. It's just pretty much very simply, how much does it cost to buy a customer? At the end of it, what the average order value is, the cost of fulfillment, your customer acquisition cost. You put all into the equation, and what you're left is your profit. That's it. And so because of the large SKU range and the insanity to our method and madness, we're able to drive up the average order values. And when we started, the average order value was $30. It's one tie. But then year 2 went to $40 because we introduced pocket squares. Year 5. So now the average order value is upwards of $150. Sometimes it's like $200.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, because we want people to, buy the range of shirts and ties, which we really invest heavily on. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, dude, we could talk all day, but we have to work towards wrapping up. I've got one final question for you. We're going very topical. Trump tariffs, we're doing this interview where they're up, they're down, what's happening? How's it affecting you and your business right now?
Yeah, I think it's impacted every business on the planet globally. In terms of how it's impacting us, we're just working out what the next moves are. We've done small production runs in Australia to make the ties in Australia because fortunately making ties aren't complicated. We're exploring that as an option. We're also exploring, local 3PLs there, but yeah, it's a really interesting and tricky one to navigate as well globally. I think we're just waiting to see where it all settles. I don't think anyone's got the perfect formula. You're talking about the biggest brands on the planet. They're like, most people had moved their manufacturing from, say, China to Vietnam to blah, 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 to try and hedge against it, but the whole wealth is being sort of tariffed. So I think we're personally just waiting to see where it all kind of lands and then make the best possible decision. That's all we can do, because we can't, we're just a small, shirt and tie brand in Melbourne, Australia. So all we're although our ties are worn in the White House, which is crazy, it's at the end of the day, we can only focus on what we can control. So we're just waiting to see what kind of ends up happening and then make a good long-term decision. But it's getting a bit of whiplash, like decisions, 10% tariffs in Australia, 100% tariffs on China, 200%. It's like, okay, let's just wait. And then hopefully we can hang on.
Last question. For entrepreneurs listening who are in the early stages, struggling to get traction, what's the number one piece of advice you wish someone had told you at the start? And then we'll wrap there.
Just stay consistent, stay at it, think long term, don't think short term. It takes time. It's not an overnight thing. We've been at it for 14 years plus. Be optimistic as well. There are definitely dark days, but then the light definitely outshines the dark, and it's all worth it. And it's adventure as well. Have fun. Building business is fun. Like, it affords the opportunity to, build teams, meet people. Like, it is the most rewarding thing you can do. It's the best personal development exercise on the planet, building any business from the ground up.
Well, Fameez, thank you so much for coming down, man, and sharing your story.
Thank you.
All right, so if you love this episode, make sure to check out my interview with Alex Hormozi on how he scales companies from zero straight to $2 million a month in less than a year.
People were like, how have you achieved what you achieved? But like, there's 5 years of my life that disappeared. In fact, I lost all the money, which I talk about in the book. I had all the gyms, I did the turnarounds, and then I had $0 5 years later because of mistakes that I made. But the things that I was gaining was not the money, it was the skills, it was the character traits and the beliefs.